Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Charlie Bailey and I'm the founder of Raw UK, an online course business. Now, I've started this YouTube channel because I myself am a passionate lifelong learner. I love learning new skills. I love reading. I love watching YouTube videos. I love Skillshare. I love online courses. And I just love that striving to upskill myself, to better myself. And it's opened my world up for me. And I just really want to use this space as somewhere where I can share some of the things I learn with you, some of the stuff that's helped me in my business, and also the way that I deal with some of that learning and all of those inputs with an ADHD mind, because it can be a little bit different for those of us with ADHD. So if you're anything like me and you have lots of interests, you want to learn new stuff all the time, you have a growth mindset, then this is the place for you. Now, for this first video, I want to keep it quite simple and talk about something you've probably heard about before, but there's a twist. So if you're into productivity in any way, shape or form, and you've searched on YouTube for any types of productivity hacks, time management, anything like that, you will have heard of the Pomodoro Technique. The Pomodoro Technique was developed in the 1980s by an Italian student called Francesco Cirillo, and he developed this technique, which was named after the little tomato-shaped timers that we used to have in our kitchens. I distinctly remember my grandma having one of these, and I'd love to get hold of one again. But anyway, he named this technique after that because Pomodoro, tomato in Italian. And the concept was based around the idea that the human brain functions better or is more productive working in short bursts than in long periods of time. So these short bursts were ideal for students, for studying, for practicing for exams, that sort of thing. Now, the basic steps of doing the Pomodoro Technique in its standard format are that you do a 25-minute timer, so 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. And you do this 4 times, so 25, 5, 25, 5, 25, 5, 25, 5. After you've completed 4 lots of these focused bursts, you then have a longer half-an-hour break before starting again. Now, I know this works for so many people. I mention this technique often with other small business owners that I know, and they say that they heavily rely on this technique and it does work. However, I have found for my slightly different ADHD mind that the standard version doesn't actually always work, but it's possible to hack the technique. In this video, I just want to share 3 of the hacks that I've found personally really helpful in my life. Hack number 1, just do 1. Sometimes the hardest thing in any task is just getting started. And this is particularly true for people who procrastinate a lot, or for people who perhaps are overwhelmed by the size of the task they've got ahead of them. And for someone with an ADHD mind, this is something that comes up a lot in my life. Just getting started can be a huge mountain to climb. And this is where the Pomodoro Technique comes in. I've found that if I set one timer, one 25-minute block, with the intention of only doing that one 25-minute block, that I can trick my brain into thinking, okay, that's okay, I can cope with 25 minutes of work. I'll stick some instrumental music on, I'll hit my timer, I've got a timer on my phone labelled Pomodoro, and I'll hit that timer, put the music on, and before I know it, I usually enter into my flow state within that 25 minutes and I'm away. When that alarm does go off, I either hit reset or I just ignore it completely. I turn it off and I'm in and I'm away with my task. Hack number 2, redesign it. Now, this one might take a little bit more thought, but it's based on the premise that we all have an optimum focus period. Now, one way to work out what yours might be is if you get into a piece of focused work and you start doing your work and everything's going well, and then you get to a point where suddenly you start to feel a bit restless, maybe you're fidgeting a bit more, you pick up your phone and start scrolling. That's probably when you've reached your optimum focus period and it's time for a break. For lots of people, this is somewhere around the 40 to 60 minute mark, but it'll be completely different for each person. So I'd just say have a play around with this. Once you've found your optimum focus period, it's about setting timers for those things. So building your own Pomodoro around that. So if you have a 40-minute optimum focus period, chuck your 40 minutes on, maybe put a 10-minute break after that, but redesign the process, the Pomodoro, so that it works for your optimum focus period. Hack number 3, flip it around. Now this one is probably most relevant for those of us with an ADHD mind. There's a common misconception that people with ADHD have no attention span, we can't focus on anything, but this is completely false. In fact, lots of people with ADHD tendencies can find themselves entering into something called hyperfocus. Now, hyperfocus is where we fixate on something for hours. It's where we forget to go to the toilet, we forget to eat, we forget to do the tasks that we had on our to-do list because we're so focused on this one thing that we're doing. Now I know for me, I go into stuff for days. I pick up new hobbies, new skills, and I'm just in there and I can't see, hear, do anything else because I'm so into this task. What I've found that although this is great for productivity, these periods of hyperfocus are actually really damaging in the long run for my mental health and also for getting other life things done. So for me, I also use the Pomodoro as a way to stop myself from being in a hyperfocus. It doesn't always work, it's imperfect, but sometimes if I chuck on that timer, the alarm goes, it might pull me out of my hyperfocus. That sound, that annoying alarm sound, especially if I put it across the other side of a room, might just switch me out of it for a second, for long enough for me to go, wait a second, you need to go and get a drink, you need to go and get some food, and you just need to do something else for half an hour. Now, each of these hacks are going to be useful for some, not useful for others, but hopefully they give you a little bit of a flavour of the sorts of things you can do to hack productivity tips to work for you. I'd love to hear if you try any of these, if they work for you, or if you've got any more, so please leave a comment below. For now, I've got a to-do list the length of my arm, so I'm going to go and hit a Pomodoro and get on with some work. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.